All right, guys, and today I'm going to show you Superintendent Training Course, Practical Field Leadership and Project Execution. So with this, um, what we'll be covering today is just this one section here. We're going to be covering what your role is as a superintendent, what makes a good, superintendent based on the scorecard that we keep, planning, make work ready, and field work, how to operate, and then also documentation. We'll go into these topics later as well. Production control, scheduling, look ahead planning, leadership, quality control, tools management, RFI submittal software in first 10 days. So we'll just go into this role. So a superintendent, what is the role of a superintendent? We're going to go over the daily control of the job and then what the flow, readiness, and documentation is. So, the superintendent role, your role is to own the job site, own the project, make sure that freaking project is up and going. Guys are showing up, you're making phone calls if you need to. You are the highest authority on the site for daily operations. If someone's not showing up, it's because you didn't call them, you didn't text them, you didn't loop your boss in the loop, the owner of the company. If it happens in the field, it is your responsibility. If material need to show up on the job and your company's ordering the materials, you need to make sure you make the call and you get that delivered in a timely manner. You also control the flow of the project, whether it's a commercial, residential, government project. You coordinate the labor, the materials, the equipment, the access, and the inspection so work moves without interruption. What does that mean in a sense? You coordinate the labor, call your subs, call the laborers in your company. Hey, we need to get this done. You need to be here tomorrow at 6. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Materials. We can't do anything if we don't have the materials. Do we have drywall? Do we have nails, fasteners? Do the subs have everything? Do we have the equipment needed? Do we have scaffolding? Do we have trailers or scissor lifts if we need them? So that's the equipment portion of it all. And then are we able to access? How are we able to access? Does the people that need to access the project have the codes or the keys or know where that is? And then also, every building project has inspections with a government agency. So you would have to make sure you schedule the inspections correctly in a timely manner, working with your subs, working with your suppliers, etc. What you want to also do is prevent trade stacking, waiting, and rework. In a nutshell, what it means is you want to prevent trades from being stacked on each other that's not making sense because you almost need to get one trade done before the next one, but you could do multiple different trades at the same time. Like if you're getting your interior getting done, you can get your exterior figured out. You don't want guys waiting. You want to be calling weeks in advance, following up 3 days to the until they need to be there, 1 day until they need to be there. You got to be on these guys, your subs, your people, and make sure that there is no rework done, that they do it once correctly and they don't have to do it again. And then what does make work ready? To make work ready, you have to ensure tasks only start when they are truly ready. The drawings are approved, the materials are on hand, you have access, clear access, and the place is safe for people to work. If you have a second story, do you have railing up so that people don't potentially fall? Are you making sure there's signs appropriate so that they know to be cautious around a certain area? Are there cones, caution tape, whatever the case may be? You need to make sure your people, your subs, your suppliers, your vendors know how to get it all done and communicate with them. And the other thing is to stop work that is not ready, even if it is on the schedule. If it's on the schedule and your sub didn't complete it or your guys didn't complete it, do not keep moving the project forward. That thing needs to stop. We need to prolong the schedule and we need to identify who messed up and how we can make it right and not make it wrong ever again. So we don't delay the project any more than it needs to. So, what are your primary responsibilities as a superintendent? Simply plain, safety is number one. You have to make sure you enforce site safety rules and OSHA requirements. The guys have PPE, hard hats, gloves, pants, shoes. You need to make sure that you lead daily safety awareness and pre-task planning. So there's this thing called the toolbox talk, where every day you bring yourselves aside. Hey, teach them something about ladder safety. Hey, I don't want nobody going over the ladder on the top of the ladder. Make sure there's somebody to hold it, or you have a harness, whatever the case may be. And you need to stop unsafe work immediately. If you see something on the job site and you know it's not safe, you need to let them know and document it as well. Safety is not delegated, it is owned. We have to make sure we own that safety. Number two responsibility, schedule execution. Execute the schedule in the field day by day. As a superintendent, you need to be able to meet a schedule, but also allow time with your subs in order to get them done. We need to get the right guys, the right people, the right materials on site so that we can get this project up and going and plan ahead. We need to translate the master schedule into daily plans and short term look aheads. So, what's your 3 day look ahead? What is your next week look ahead? We're not looking at the whole 3 months, a whole month. We're just looking at your dailies, what should be done today. If it's not being done, what is wrong and how can we correct it? Do we need to call the owner of the subcontractor that's not there and say, hey, we need to get this done? We need your guys here. Do we need to incentivize or something? We need to figure that out. As a superintendent, that is your job. You need to translate the master schedule into daily plans and short term look aheads. You need to identify delays early and adjust sequencing. So, in a nutshell, if you see like, okay, he's not done in time, we got to push the schedule out. And then we got to identify, hey, plumber or electrician or mechanical guy, because of you, this was our schedule. This scope wasn't as big, it was perfect for this allotted time that I given you, but you didn't get it done. Why not? And how can we adjust this going into the future? Because what we want to do is make sure that there's no delays in the project, but then we also need to adjust it and make sure we adjust the whole schedule accordingly. We need to, this number three role is to do trade coordination. What does that mean? You need to coordinate the subcontractors so they work in the right place at the right time. You define clean handoffs between trades. So let's say the four-way's done. Now it's time for your drywall guy to come in and get everything in. Well, you need to coordinate that. Talk to your MEPs, your mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Hey, when are you going to be done? Okay, get your inspection scheduled. Boom, get it scheduled, get it passed. Perfect. Allow a couple of days so that sometimes the inspector's going to call it, hey, you got to get this, you got to get that. Then you call those guys back and be like, hey, we need this done. I got the reinspection for in 3 days. So it'll give you enough time to get it done, or 2 days, whatever those days may be. You need to just communicate that. And then you need to make sure, like, hey, you call the drywall guy, hey, we're going to be ready for you. Deliver the material here so we can start hanging the drywall, etc. You also need to run daily huddles and weekly coordination meetings with your subs, your contractors, your vendors, and just look, hey, what do I need to be planning ahead so we can push this whole project forward? Call 3 weeks in advance, a whole month, just to make sure that they know that they're on the schedule. Number four responsibility of the project is quality control. Ensure that the work is installed per plans and specs. You want to enforce first in place and hold point inspections. Prevent rework instead of fixing it later. If you see something that you know wouldn't look right, or the contractor's going to say, hey, we need to do this or that, or no, your client or the owner is going to call it out. You need to be able to say something before the owner points it out. Because now, if they come and point it out, it just makes you look bad. And now it just trickles down to your subs. Now, now as the GC, your sub doesn't want to use you, or you don't want to use that sub because they failed you. You look back to the client, they might not give you a good review. That might not promote your business. So everything goes hand in hand. Number 5 is communication. Be the main field contact for PMs, subs, inspectors. What does that mean? So your project manager, he handles all the billing, the contracts, the payments. Your subs, they get all the projects done. You need to be able to communicate with all 3 people, even in the inspectors and vendors. Vendors could be suppliers. So the inspectors could be the government agency inspecting your work so that you build a good structure. You need to communicate expectations clearly and early. So when the sub comes into the job, let them know, hey, we expect you to get it in a workmanlike manner. We expect you to get it done in 5 days. If not, work with them. And then we expect you to clean up the job site every day. Whatever those expectations you set for your guys or your subs or your vendors, make sure you communicate that early because you want to be in control of the project. You don't want the project to control you and your emotions. You also want to escalate issues before they become problems. You can be like, hey, I tried calling owner of the company. I tried calling this, or hey, PM, I tried calling this person. What do we need to get done? But he's not picking up. Do we have somebody else? Or what are some solutions? And when you present these solutions, you don't want to present problems. You want to let them know about the problems, but you also want to be able to present solutions at the same time. The next thing of a role of a superintendent is documentation. You want to produce accurate daily logs or reports. You want to track photos, inspections, delays, and field issues. And you want to protect the project with facts, not opinions. And so you want to house everything in a software, which we will provide. What a superintendent is not. You are not a project manager. So you don't control the budget. You don't control the contracts. You don't control the billing or any secondary billing. You are not a foreman doing trade work. You should not be swinging the hammer. You should just be managing the subs. Say, hey, this needs to be done like this. You need to communicate that and document that you communicated that. You are not an office administrator. You're not the person being the guy that does all the nitty gritty in the software to make sure that everything's project cost. You're not that person. You're in the field talking to the subs, inspectors, vendors, and making sure the project is getting built. You're not a firefighter reacting all day without planning. You need to plan. You can't be reactive. You need to be proactive. Reactive means things are happening to you, subs aren't showing up, materials aren't being delivered. You need to be able to call ahead, plan ahead, call in advance, set expectations soon so that people know, hey, this is how we work. You got to submit the invoicing here so that subs aren't going to question about how they're going to get paid. So that's what you are not. You're not a firefighter. How success is measured as a superintendent. Success is measured when crews are productive and not waiting around. The site is safe and orderly and clean. The work installs correctly the first time around. The schedule holds and recovers quickly. Problems are identified early, not discovered late. The project finishes with minimal chaos at the end. Let's talk about the flow. What is the flow of the project? The flow is the uninterrupted movement of work through the site with people, materials, information, access, and inspections. What a superintendent controls daily, the labor flow. You control who is working at that site at that time, where they're working, and in what sequence they should be working at, whether it's the subs or the guys on your team. You need to manage the trade flow. You need to prevent stacking trades on top of each other where they're fighting and not working together to get along. So you don't want to put the HVAC guy and have the drywall guy come in the same time the HVAC guy's installing because it's not going to work. You can't cover up stuff that you haven't inspected or they can't install. And you control the material flow. Is the deliveries arriving when needed and not too early or not too late? Are they putting it in a specific area which you designated and letting the vendors know where to put it in? The information flow. Is the crews always working from current drawings and approved details? You are preventing change orders because subs will say, hey, no, that wasn't on the plans because the owners made a change and you didn't document that and you didn't let the crews or the subs know that that was a change. You control the inspection flow. Inspections are scheduled before work is ready to be covered. So you want to make sure once the subs or the crews are done, you plan ahead and know, okay, you need to be done by this so I can call for inspection the next day. And then you want to plan it and call it in advance and schedule that. Because sometimes you can schedule the next day, sometimes you have to plan 2 days in advance. What is the superintendent reality? When flow breaks, productivity drops, safety risks increase, and costs rise. Most delays are not big problems. They are small flow interruptions repeated daily. So your project stopping for one whole month because OSHA came and stopped it, it's not because there was a big problem. It was because you didn't inform your subs to cover up the panel so that there wasn't an OSHA violation or that the company needed to pay more because there was also OSHA violation. You are the first line of defense when it comes to any legal actions because you are running your job site correctly. On the daily, this is the information you should be asking, the questions you should be asking. What work must move today for the job to stay on schedule? Who needs to be there? Where do things need to go? Is my job site clean? Where could flow break in the next 24 to 72 hours? So if I am not communicating, hey, I need to schedule this or I need to schedule that, then it just caused delays. Or if I didn't get the right material takeoff, if you're over that, then it just causes delays. The other question you should be asking yourself is, what do I need to remove now so crews can work tomorrow? So do you need to tell a sub, hey, you need to haul all this material off so that my guys can work cleanly? So example, your framing is planned, but drywall materials show up early and block access. If super controls flow by staging materials offsite or resequencing deliveries, not letting the site clog. So another instance would be I have dry insulation getting installed takes about 3 days, and then I have drywall in places that I had the vendor deliver too early, so now it blocks them from performing their job on the exterior wall. You do not want that to happen. Readiness is a principle that you all should know too. Flow is uninterrupted. Oh wait, hold on. This is. Oh wait, I messed all that up. I need to redo that. Oh well. Okay. So superintendent scorecard. This is what kind of gets you from knowing if you're a good superintendent. One, is it safe? Is the job site safe? Two, are you scheduling accordingly so that you're creating a good flow for the project? Three, are you making sure that you're overseeing quality and making sure that everything's done according to plans and according to expectations? Four, are you coordinating the project correctly? And then five, are you communicating with the subs? Safety. What does it mean? Everyone goes home uninjured. Unsafe work is stopped immediately. What does the superintendent do? You walk the site daily. You enforce PPE and fall protection. You require pre-task planning for risky work. So you talk through it with the sub. Hey, I know you're going to be 60 feet up in the air. Is everything tied off? Are you going to be safe? Do you have harnesses, etc.? And you stop work when something is unsafe. So, simple example, a crew starts working at a height without guardrails. Superintendent stops the work, installs protection, documents it, then restarts. Schedule. You're over the schedule. What does that mean? Work is happening in the right order to meet project milestones. What the superintendent does, you turn the schedule into daily plans. You prevent trade stacking. You adjust sequencing when reality changes, and then you look ahead to upcoming work. So, for instance, drywall is scheduled, but inspections aren't passed. The superintendent resequences work to another area and avoids delays. Quality. What does it mean? Work is built correctly the first time. You got nice seams. The paint quality is great. You are over all of that and making sure it gets done. So you check first installations before full production. You enforce hold points and inspections, stop bad work early, and you prevent rework. So a tile layout starts without approval. So the owner wants a certain layout, but you didn't communicate it with your tile guy. So now it's all messed up. The superintendent stops production, approves the mock-up, then releases the work. So you're working with the client to make sure you get approvals too. But those should be handled with the PM side. But if when it's not, that's when you want to make sure it's according to plan or to the owner's um, expectations or what they are wanting, which you got to communicate. Coordination. Trades are not in each other's way. So what do? You assign work areas by trade, you manage deliveries and access, you set clear handoffs between trades, and you run daily and weekly coordination meetings with subs and crews. So for example, the electricians and framers are scheduled in the same hallway. The superintendent sequences framing first, then electrical. Communication. Everyone knows the plan, the changes, and the expectations. So you need to communicate, communicate, communicate. Run short daily huddles. You communicate changes immediately. Send text, send emails, do phone calls. Document the phone calls. You have all the emails and text messages documented, so you're good there. Documents what happened each day, and you escalate issues early. You also want to you want to communicate clearly. You want to make sure that if he needs to install it a certain way, you explain it so that he understands that he needs to install it a certain way, whether it's your crew or your subcontractor. So, for example, an inspection is delayed, the superintendent informs trades, updates the plan, documents the delay, and reschedules the work. Daily planning. Four topics we're going to go over is top 5 priorities, constraints, owners, and today, tomorrow, and this week principles of daily planning. So, what are the top 5 priorities? The 5 most important things that must happen today to keep the job moving. What does it even mean? No more than 5. Must be specific and location based and must move the schedule forward. So, example, pour footings at grid A and D, pass underground plumbing inspection, Complete level 2 framing in zone B. Receive rooftop unit delivery and finalize drywall layout approvals. So as the superintendent, you need to be overseeing these things on a day-to-day basis and making sure that the top 5 priorities are getting done that day. If everything else fails, but these 5 get done, the day is a win. Constraints. What is it? So anything that could stop a priority from starting or finishing. Missing drawings, approvals, materials not on site, access or equipment not available, inspections not scheduled, safety controls missing, manpower issues, footing poor constraints, inspections not yet confirmed, framing constraints, missing embedded layout, RTU delivery constraints, crane not scheduled. So you need to be overseeing all of that, even if it's for the sub, and just reassuring, hey, you got this scheduled, you got that scheduled. Your job is to remove that from the crew or from the sub project, from the subcontractors. Owners, every constraint must have one person responsible for removing it. So one owner per constraint. Owner has a deadline, and no, everyone or they. So you schedule who's over inspection scheduling? Superintendent. Who's over embedded layout approvals? Project manager. Who's over crane scheduling? Your subcontractor. So you need to take ownership in these specific items and make sure you can oversee that it is being handled. So framing contractor, they need to get their own crane scheduled because you don't want to be over that. They have their own flows and when to get it done. You just want to make sure they are hitting their schedule. Today, tomorrow, and this week. What is this? It's a short planning horizon that keeps the site from reacting instead of controlling. So today, what must happen now? What you personally verify on site, what cannot slip up. So, for example, you pass the footing inspection, you have to place rebar and forms, and then you receive concrete. What happens tomorrow? What must be ready by end of day today so that we have everything ready for tomorrow and we're not holding up the project? Well, we need to strip the forms, we need to set the anchor bolts, and we need to schedule next inspection. So we got to make sure there's the anchor bolts laid out. We have to pull the forms off, and the inspection is all done. And you have to look at this week. What must be prepared now to avoid future delays? Do we have to release steel shop drawings? Do we have to confirm material deliveries? Or do we have to coordinate next trade handoffs? How is superintendent uses this daily? So on a daily basis, in the morning, you review the top 5 things that need to happen. Then you confirm constraints. All the constraints are cleared. And then you communicate plan in a huddle. You communicate, hey, this is what needs to be done. Are you going to get it done? Blah, blah, blah. Show up to the job. Make the phone calls. Have the sub send you pictures, whatever the case may be. Midday, check the progress against the top 5. Have you gotten all the top 5 priorities checked off? Have you removed any new constraints? And have you adjusted if reality changes? And at the end of the day, document what was completed. That should be done throughout the whole day. You update tomorrow's top 5 and you identify new constraints early. What does make work ready? Make sure you have the approved drawings from the city or any changes from the owners or the clients. You have the approved materials, access, inspections, and clean handoffs. Approved drawings. What does this mean? Crews are working from the latest approved set of drawings and specs. All required RFIs are answered. RFIs stand for request for information. So if you don't know what the fudge is going on, you need to be able to contact who knows, the client, the PM, your subcontractor, and verify that shiz so that nothing goes unhinged. If you got to get your subcontractor to be with the client so they know what needs to be done, how they want it laid, and document everything, then you got to get that process going. You're responsible for verifying current drawings are available and in the field. You stop work if drawings are unclear or conflicting, and you push any RFIs early, not after work starts. So if the sub comes and say, "Hey, this is not going to work," then you call the engineer right away. Send an email, send a text, send a call. Call, text, email. Call, text, email. Call, text, email, and then document. Call, text, email, document. Document, document, document. So, for example, framing starts using an old reflective ceiling plan. Superintendent stops work, issues RFI, updates the plan drawings, and then restarts correctly. Materials, what this means, you need the correct materials are on site, approved, and staged properly. You got to figure out the long lead times on materials. If you're over windows, then you got to make sure you order the windows 10 weeks in advance, knowing that when it's going to hit your schedule, so you can get that coming right after your framing is done and your inspection of the shear is completed. So you got to confirm delivery dates before work is scheduled, ensure materials match approved submittals, stage materials so they don't block access or create safety issues. So, for example, drywall crews arrives, but insulation hasn't been delivered. Superintendent prevents the start and resequences work to another area. Access. Crews can physically get to the work area safely and efficiently. Access includes clear pathways, scaffolding lifts, ladders, adequate lift lighting, laydown, and staging spaces. Superintendent responsibilities coordinate equipment and site logistics, remove clutter and congestion, ensure access meets safety requirements. For example, mechanical needs ceiling access, but scissor lifts are tied up elsewhere. Superintendent relocates lifts before work starts. Inspections. Required inspections are known, scheduled, and passed before covering work. So, as the superintendent, your responsibility is to know inspection requirements by trade, schedule the inspection in advance, verify pass before allowing the next trade to continue. Common mistakes, assuming inspections will just happen. You got to call the inspector. You got to call and get everything done. Underground plumbing covered before inspection. Superintendent prevents this by enforcing inspection hold points. Clean handoffs. What does clean handoff mean? One trade finishes work in coordination, ready for the next trade. So it includes work complete per scope, area clean, deficiencies corrected, and inspections passed if required. Superintendent responsibility. Define what's done means you each trade. Define what done means for each trade, enforce handoff standards, and prevent the next trade from interfering problems. So framing says walls are done, but fasteners are proud and blocking drywall. Superintendent enforces cleanup before drywall starts. Field documentations. I'm just going to briefly go over these. Daily logs. You just basically document the manpower, how many people were there, um, work did they perform, and where were they located? Did you receive any deliveries, materials from subs or from ordering it yourself? The inspections, were the inspections scheduled or completed? Delays or distributions, how to write it. Short, objective, time-based when possible. No opinions or blame. For example, 8 electricians on site, roughing completed in level 2, zone B. Fire inspection scheduled for 2 p.m. Inspector did not arrive. Photos, visual proof of site conditions, progress, and problems. You want to be taking photos and inputting into the daily logs. Tie photos to a location, take before, during, and after photos. Capture issues the same day they occur. Don't overthink. Consistency matters. Keep taking photos, keep uploading it to your daily log. What to photograph? Work in place, inspections, deliveries, delays, weather access stacking, and safety or quality issues. So, for example, photo of a trench filled with water after rain, timestamp, and dated. Issues, anything that affects schedule, cost, safety, or quality. Missing information can cause issues. Late inspection can cause issues. Trade conflicts, material delays, and owner or design changes can cause issues. Superintendent responsibility. Log the issue immediately, describe the impact, track until resolved, and assign an owner to that issue. So, for example, structural RFI number 27 unresolved, still erection in area C on hold, pending response. Fact, protect the schedule. Schedules are defined with evidence, not arguments. Why this matters. Owners, inspectors, and PMs forget details. Disputes happens months later. Memory lost, documentation wins. Memory loses and documentation wins. If you document it, it'll win all the time. Then a hearsay. Text message is okay, emails are better, photos are the best. Or videos. What protects you? Dates, photos, clear daily logs, and documented communication. Example, owner claims delay caused by poor planning. Daily logs show 3 days lost due to weather and 2 due to inspector no-shows. So tips as a superintendent, how a superintendent should think about documentation. If it is slow the job, document it. If it changed the plan, document it. If it could be questioned later, document it. Simple rule of supers. Log tells the story, photos prove it, issues track it, facts defend the schedule. This is how a superintendent protects the project and themselves. The end.